So if you're a home bartender like myself, and you're wondering exactly how long you should stir a cocktail before you serve it to others, then this is the correct video for you. My name is Ron Virpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. During that time, I've learned how to make over 100 different cocktails, and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties. And I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, I'm going to be answering that very important question. How long should you stir a cocktail before you serve it to your guests? And once you get to my point, you don't really need to go ahead and actually count out the seconds, because I've stirred so many different cocktails over these past 5+ years. I would say I've stirred hundreds of cocktails, probably even thousands of cocktails by this point. So by this point, I really have a feel for exactly how long I should serve a cocktail. So I no longer need to count it off in my head or use my watch as a timer or anything like that before I stir my cocktails and serve it to my guests. But I would say this video is mainly catered to people that are first getting started with this hobby of home bartending. You're probably in the first 3 to 6 months or so of your home bartending journey, maybe even up to the first year, and you're really unsure about exactly how long you should stir a cocktail before you serve it to your guests. I would say when you're in that time frame of the first year or first 6 months or something like that of home bartending, then it is important for you guys to actually count out how long you stir a cocktail. That way that you know you're doing it exactly correct every time. And after you've done so many different reps of stirring cocktails, maybe tens of cocktails or maybe hundreds of cocktails, then at that point you start to get a feel for exactly how long you should stir a cocktail, and then you no longer need to count off the seconds in your head or use a timer or a watch or something like that. And this guideline that I learned for how long you should stir a cocktail, it's from the book The Joy of Mixology by Gary Regan. I think it's a great cocktail book and mixology book for bartenders of all levels, home bartenders, professional bartenders, beginners, intermediates, advanced, it doesn't really matter. This is something I actually wish I had read earlier on in my home bartending journey, but I'm just now getting to it. But anyway, the guideline that he lays out for how long you should stir a cocktail before you serve it to your guests, that guideline, it states that you should stir a cocktail for somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds before you serve the cocktail to your guests. And the reason he lays out that guideline of 20 to 30 seconds for stirring a cocktail is based on the temperature. And this is the same temperature that you want all your cocktails to be, whether you're stirring the cocktail, you're doing a build cocktail, you're shaking the cocktail, whatever the case may be, you always want the cocktail to be approximately this temperature. And that temperature range is going to be 28 to 38 Fahrenheit. And for those of you that are not as familiar with Fahrenheit, 32 Fahrenheit is the freezing temperature. So you want your cocktail to be right around the temperature of freezing, because generally cocktails will have both an ice component and a liquid component as well. So 32 Fahrenheit is right when you get that equilibrium where the ice is in there and the liquid is in there at the same temperature. So you want your cocktail to be in that range. Now, do I think you need to go out and buy a food thermometer, even when you're a beginner home bartender, to measure your cocktails to make sure they're the right temperature? I don't think you need to go ahead and do that, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced as a home bartender. I would say as long as you follow the guideline of stirring your cocktail for approximately 20 to 30 seconds, then your cocktail will be down to temperature. It'll be somewhere in that range. There is some leeway. It doesn't have to be exactly 32 Fahrenheit. It can be somewhere between 27 and 37 or 28 and 38 Fahrenheit, somewhere in that range. So as long as you're stirring that cocktail for somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds, it doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, 25 seconds every time. You can do somewhere in that range. And really, that all depends on how much ice you're using and the volume of the cocktail and so many other different factors. But as long as you're stirring it somewhere in that time frame, then you're going to be getting your cocktail down to temperature, and that'll be the ideal temperature to serve your cocktail to your guests when they come over to your place for a cocktail or something like that. So just to summarize, especially if you're a beginner home bartender and you're in the first 6 months, even up to a year of home bartending, I think you guys should go ahead and actually count out how long you are stirring your cocktails before you serve them to others. And you can just count off the seconds in your head, or you can use a timer, a stopwatch, your regular wristwatch, something like that, to go ahead and do that. And once you get enough reps, I would say somewhere, at least 100 stirred cocktails, somewhere like that, then you get a feel for it, and you no longer need to go ahead and count out the seconds. So make sure you stir your cocktails 20 to 30 seconds, no matter what level of home bartending you're in, beginner, intermediate, advanced, go ahead and stir it in that, and stir it for approximately that time frame, 20 to 30 seconds. I would just say if you're a beginner, go ahead and actually physically count out the seconds, either in your head or use a timer of some form. But when you're more intermediate or advanced, then you no longer need to do this because you've had so many reps and you start to get a feel for it. And just by second nature, essentially, you're going to be stirring it at that time. Like I said, I don't actually time it anymore because I've done this so many times. But if you were to actually time how long I stir my cocktails, it's probably somewhere in that exact range. But I just have so much of a feel for it because I've done this so many times. But if you're more beginner, go ahead and actually count it out 20 to 30 seconds for your stirred cocktails. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video. If you found the advice in this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I really like to do two styles of videos on this channel. The first will be tutorials showing you guys how to make specific cocktails. And the second one will be more like this style, where it's more guides, stories, tips and tricks, and things like that for my own journey that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. Thank you. Cheers.